Welcome everyone. Today we'll be talking about warehouse operations in this presentation. So understanding the various processes that the warehouse has to inculcate so that it works smoothly is what we will be discussing in this presentation. So what exactly is warehouse? If you want to know about it, a warehouse is nothing but a, let's say, an empty space, a large building, or probably a venue where you can store goods, where they might be cataloged, they might be indexed, they can be shipped out, received, depending upon the type. This is what we are looking into it. Though in past, many warehouses were often located in the industrial area, sometimes next to the major shipping ports, usually all the ports, be it the cargo planes or the shipping ports where they used to keep the warehouses. Were teeming with workers. The modern warehouses might be completely and totally automated, depending on how tech enabled the company is all about it. And this time, please note, it may not be located at the shipping port. It might be towards the end consumers as such, or let's say just beyond the outskirts of the city per se. So there is the main ingredients would be to store items, to store materials, things that can be received and shipped out very smoothly. Definitely it should be indexed or cataloged as on one on accessibility is concerned. So this is what exactly a warehouse is all about it. A large building where goods are stored, probably, and which can be indexed, which can be cataloged, which can be receiving goods, and which can be shipping out goods altogether. May be located near the shipping ports, maybe near the consumption area. When I say consumption area, I'm talking about the end customer usage thereby. So warehouses have existed for several centuries. The world itself is hard to understand. Wares were the thing possessed by sellers. It's wares, absolutely anything and everything that were materialistic in their nature. Uh, and to house is where you have a central location where basically what it means is storing your wares or storing your materials as such, getting in the new products, shipping out the products already received, and so on and so forth. This is exactly what we will be talking out in this particular presentation. So we understand what exactly is a warehouse by now. So another important point of maintaining a good warehouse is keeping the inventory of what products are present in the warehouse, what has been shipped and what has been received. So keeping an account of it, absolutely how many ingredients or materials are there, what has been received on which all date and which have been shipped out as in been processed out of the warehouse thereby. So functions, as I said, we are talking about the operations out here. It is a temporary storage unit, if I may say so. That is what the functions would be all about it. Then there is to provide together or let's say serve as a customer service facility. It getting everything in orders. I have utilized the word catalog, I have utilized the word index. It's basically keeping everything in order so that we can access it, we can locate it very easily. Definitely, if we are storing good, we should be enabling the goods to be kept in a proper condition, and that is what we are looking around it. Perform value added services. Now, what are value added services? Maybe a work in progress, maybe you are helping in packaging, maybe you are unpackaging and bundling out into a number of uh, let's say number of sets of two, sets of three, or basically we are having or repackaging everything. So that is the value added services that we keep on saying around it. And definitely, yes, we are talking about the inventory when we are going to store the food there, store the goods out there. So this is a value chain. If I may say so, this is what the value chain is all about. It moves from this direction to this direction, from the left to the right of the slide. Now we need to understand what is the primary activities and what are the secondary activities, if you look into it. Now primary activities are this, if I may say so. Basically, what are we talking around it? We are talking about inbound logistic operation, outbound logistic, marketing and sales, and probably the end consumption. And so what will be the secondary activity is this, as in the support activities are all concerned. We are talking about the firm structure and the type of firm, the type of company that we are looking into. Is it tech enabled? It is manual? Is it goods oriented, or it's a consumer good company? Is it an industrial good company? You need to tell me about the firm structure, thereby a very organized firm, a formal firm, an unorganized firm in an informal setting, human resource development out there, if you want to talk around it, the technological development, procurement per se, as in what we are looking forward to. So yes, warehouse functions. Warehouse organizes, repackages product. Product arrives packaged on a large scale, leaves package on a smaller scale. Probably this is what I've been saying about the repackaging or value-added services. All about it. So let us say, let us say anything per se. Any of the example, it can be eggs. So eggs can come in a crate of 30 and a crate of 60, but in a packet of 6 crate or 10 crates or 20 crates. So one crate has 30 eggs or 60 eggs as the case might be, and one package might have 30 crates altogether or 24 crates altogether. So depending upon those things that you need to go around it, we may package it or repackage it, we make it smaller or bigger as per the requirement of the thing. Remember, the smaller the handling unit, the greater would be the average cost about it. It is absolutely yes. So we should always be talking about larger handling unit. So that makes the sense when we are shipping goods through the sea route, right? When we can um, actually transport tons of materials. So the average revenue cost per unit becomes much less. But the last mile delivery is always done by the truck. Here in the average cost per unit comes very fast, very on a higher end compared to the shipping, but then the flexibility of reaching the last mile customer or servicing the last mile customer actually has its own advantages. So that is what you need to keep in account. Process of reorganization of product, there is something which we call about it inbound, as in this is where the it comes around as an inbound of the company, and then we have something called an outbound of the company which goes out from the company altogether, if we may say so. So inbound is all about receiving and put away storages. Outbound would be process customer orders, order picking, checking, packing, and shipping thereby, and that is what we are looking forward to. Let us understand receiving. Receiving is nothing but unloading and staging for putaways, inspection, sampling, melody. Let's say it's maybe sampling method, random sampling, cluster sampling, you name it, and we can have it, or there can be 100% inspection altogether. Scan for registering to confirming its availability, as in what are the products that has been done, who are the ownership, confirming the ownership from where the product originated as such. So if there are certain illegal activities, illegal products, it should be able to tap it account. If there are products which are perfectly legal, but it comes as a defect, so who has to be blamed as such? So these are reasons why we should be scanning and registering everything. Normally, receiving is accounted for 10% of the warehouse operation cost. Now, this is known as warehouse operation cost is the 10% of the receiving end. Put away is before product can be put away, the appropriate storage location might be determined. As in, if it's in a hazardous material that you are storing, you should be identify which is the place, which is a good place to store them, so that it causes the least possible interference or accident per se. Where the product is stored is directly related to how quick or what cost to retrieve it later. As in, fast moving goods should be at your hands distance, you should be easily accessible, whereas hazardous material should be properly stored. On the other hand, the slow moving items which are not frequently utilized, can be stored in a little different fashion or a fashion altogether. So that is what we looking around it. So warehouse manager must know all the time which storage locations are available, as in the availability of space, how large, so what kind of volume can be accommodated, what is the weight or how much weight can it take. After product is put away, the location must be recorded, duly recorded, not only on your computer terminal, but also physically recorded. Cost of put away is around 15%. Remember, inbound cost was 10% and putting away cost is around 15%. So in totality, it comes around 25%. Now, processing of customer orders, it's the outbound things of the warehouses. On receipt of the customer order, the warehouse must perform checks such as to verify that the inventory is available to ship. The warehouse must produce a pick list to guide the order picking, as in which all location, what are the things, absolutely what matches with what materials, and that is what we call as a pick list. The order picking including assigning operators and sequencing of orders and picking and shipping as the case might be. This is what we are talking about processing customer order. Order picking accounts for approximately 55% of the cost. This is what needs to be understood. We have already done with 10% of the inbound, 15% of the put away, and then comes the order picking as such, which comes around 55%. So in totality, we have accommodated for 80% of the cost, and the last cost will be all about your paperwork and others. That's it's what the 20% cost. In totality, the 100% of the order picking cost that comes around it. So we have done it in terms of what are the breakups that needs to be taken around it. We have searching as in 15%, extracting, paperwork, and so on, so forth. So 15, 10% and 20% in totality adds up to the 55% per se. Order picking depends on the type of storage, probably the retrieval system we are talking about it. For example, it can be in-person storage. In-person has to be retrieved around it, or item to person storage, where an item is more relevant or more frequently accessible. Manual or automatic storage retrieval system. ASRS is automatic storage retrieval system, as the case might be. Terminology used in order picking operations. For example, pick sheet or pick line. What are the things that needs to be procured? Pick or visit, absolutely. Did you visit the place? Did you pick the place? Pick or face. Pick face is where have you actually seen it, physically seen it by your own hand, probably by your own eyes, probably. Pick density is the number of picks per foot of travel that comes around it. Order picking flow time is the main indicator for the picking performances, as the case might be. Short flow time can lead to a better services, better responsiveness, and better satisfaction for the customers. So flow time depends on how large the unit load is all about, the serial number, the parallel pickers, number of pickers that has been utilized. Now this they will let you know, and they will be a detrimental factors as far as the service time for, or should I say the flow time depends upon it. So if the unit load is heavy, you need to wait for the prerequisite equipment, you need to wait for the qualified manpower to handle such kind of things. If there are something called on a LIFO method, a last in first out method, or a first in first out method of inventory, you need to keep those things intact. So order picking, if the total work to pick and load a truck is small, one picker can be assigned to each of the workers, right? Each of the orders. But if the order to pick or load are excellently large, increasingly a long distance, several pickers are needed to shorten the flow time, and that is what we need to understand. Order picking for a warehouse that moves a lot of small product. If I say this, small products, an integrity of products, n numbers of products that comes around it for each customer, such as shipping to a retail store, which we eventually have it. You have FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. It can be cosmetic, it can be food items, it can be eatables, whatever you're looking around it. There are so many things that comes around it. So order picking might be organized in the assembly line, so we can have a proper flow as to what the customer can be or should be exposed to, and how it is needs to be done. The assembly line needs to be balanced using some line balancing technique, as the case might be. If we can go around it, nothing can go wrong with it. So checking and packing, packing can be very increasingly labor intensive. Every item needs to be handled on a minimum of walking, as the case might be. Then checking can be performed simultaneously to make sure the completeness of the order. Remember, incomplete order leads to a return, which is extremely expensive, and we don't want any returns. You know, this is very wrong altogether. So that's the reason why we need to check for we need to keep on scanning the incoming goods that goes around it. We need to physically check it. We need to understand what are the counts and where it is coming from. In cases of any back orders, any return, that needs to be accosted for and should be checked for it. So let us understand the packing system and the checking system. Packing must be aimed to minimize broken space when shipping. Absolutely. When customer wants order in a first few containers as possible to avoid excessive handling costs, as the case might be. This is what we are looking forward towards it. So customers want orders in a few containers as possible and probably avoid excessive handling costs as in when on basis. Shipping is generally done on a larger unit. I've already said average cost per unit in shipping comes much lower. Obviously, yes, if we are utilizing mechanized tracking, mechanized pulling, pushing, and probably things are automated, it becomes less labor intensive. Remember, the goal is to minimize transportation costs. Thereby, we need to understand and protect the goods thereby ease of load and unloading as the case might be. Warehouse management system, highly automated system that runs on a day-to-day operation. DC stands for distribution centers. I have been telling it to you in my earlier videos also. Control item put away, picking, packing, and shipping. Now, what are the features that extensively utilized around it? Transportation management is one of the major things that needs to be taken into account. Order management is your EOQ, or the economic order quantity. Yard management is the number of manpower that you got to go around it. Definitely housekeeping comes under it. Labor management, nothing has to be elaborated as for your workforce. The quality of workforce, the supervisor, the technical hand needs to be accosted for, and optimization of the warehouse management. I have actually given you a pic to understand what exactly has been done out here. Look at the order management. If you go around with the order management, you need to understand what orders have been added, what have been modified, what have been cancelled. In terms of labor management, you look out here, we have a porter who is actually pulling other things. Warehouse optimization, you look at the shelf space, you need to place those items as on when on basis. Custom labeling and packaging is very easy to be done in nowadays with RFID or radio frequency identification of identity. Things goes around it. Definitely, we are talking about yard management. Yard management is shipping in the goods. Definitely, yes. We talk about cross docking. No, you understand you can have n numbers of location and n number of warehouses that comes to be done around it. We need to manage those things. And order tracking keeps us abreast with the situation as to what has been placed and what are in orders that needs to be taken into account for. Let us understand, can we shift our duties to the vendor managed inventory? Definitely yes. That's the thing in the parlance altogether. We are talking about it as the case might comes around it. Manufacturer generates order, not distributors or retailer. Remember, manufacturers are the person. And if you end up manufacturing a lot of orders, you are not only blocking your capital, but also blocking creating an inventory altogether. Absolutely missing. Manufacturers are pivotal. Stocking information is accessed through EDI or electronic data interfaces, if I may say so. A first step towards the supply chain collaborations, increase speed, reduced error, and improved service as the case might be. This is what we are looking as vendor managed inventory. The vendor is going to look after the transportation, the fleet cost, thereby it absolutely enhances speed, it absolutely reduces error, and probably thrills the customer at the end of the day. WMS, as in warehouse management system, the main function of the warehouse management system is to track everything, including the product arrival, including the shipping out, including the storage. It is the most fundamental capability to record receipt of inventory into the warehouse, registers the shipment out, including everything, if possible, the financial transactions thereby. Another important functions of, if I may say so, is what is all about ability to do the storage allocation. This is of vital importance. Routing of the material handling equipment, tracking every place that product can be stored, known as a stock locator system, as the case might be. So what are we looking into it? We are looking at the storage location, we are looking at the routing, we are having indexing everything or cataloging everything, and probably if we can have a stock locator system altogether. Coming to the basic features of warehouse management system is all about is appointment scheduling, receiving of the goods, quality assurance, put away. I have said put away entails approximately 15% of the total warehouse cost. Location tracking, yes, it is very important. Per se, you have the inventory. It is showing, reflecting in your book of accounts, but you are unable to locate it. Things goes wrong. So this is a situation which needs to be avoided. Work order management, picking, packing, consolidating and shipping, as the case might be saying around it. Let us come to the high-end features. Let us talk about cycle counting. Now, cycle counting might be done for on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, biannually basis, and so on and so forth, depending upon the value of the inventory we're looking into. If the value of the inventory is very high, I would prefer frequent counting as on a daily basis. But when it comes to the value of inventory is on a lesser things, on a lesser value, let's say 40 cents, 60 cents, a dollar or $2, less than $5 per se, you might enhance the number of days in between, a few weeks, a couple of months to be accounted for. So replenishment, yard management is something which we need to take into account as on when on basis. We are talking about the labor management, value added services, thereby we come to the very fag end of the presentation. Remember, warehouse management system are extending their functionality to support activities in supply chain, both upstream and downstream. So we have the EXC technology, Manhattan Associate, Mark Global System, Swiss Lock Software, and I'm giving you the best in the industry who are actually entailing or probably the team lead altogether as far as warehouse management systems are concerned. I again repeat, EXC technology, Manhattan Associate, Mark, MARC, Global Systems, Swisslock Software. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video. I suppose the operation of warehouse has been made crystal clear for you. In case if you have any viewpoints, please do comment back. Thank you very much.